Welcome back. If you just joined us, our guest on this episode of Question Time is the chairman of the Egbe Power Station, Mr. Kola Adeshino. Don't go away. You still have not explained the details about this new technology being introduced, the combined cycle technology.
Yeah, the technology involved is what we call the combined cycle technology, which is to say that the availability of power will be higher, which says that the resources needed to generate electricity will be lower and there will be stability in the system. The most critical component in supply of electricity from a generation point of view is gas. The quantum of gas resources that will be used for a combined cycle power plant is lower than a simple or any thermal plant or a steam turbine you can find anywhere in the world.
Nigerians are a bit wary about the whole production chain and generating chain and installation because you would recall that during the previous administration there were a lot of fears about the Procurement Act and also the process of shipping in the turbines. How sure are you that you've done a foolproof plan of this process of installation and there will be no hitches by the time you kick off?
Now, what I'm talking about in terms of technology is that the combined cycle power plant is a higher technology that brings along with it better quality, cheaper cost, ultimately, and better prices to everybody. It is easier for us to maintain a combined cycle power plant. It's easier for us to get feedstock for a combined cycle power plant. And ultimately, that simply means it's cheaper in terms of tariff to the customer ultimately.
Nigerians are still wary about some policy somersaults in the process of providing electricity to the consumers. You would recall during the previous administration that they talked about the challenge of procurement and also the process of shipping in the turbines, which was not earlier envisaged. So the question now is that how sure are you that the investors have done their foolproof plan in this introduction of the combined cycle technology and there will be no buts or any hitches when the process kicks off?
What we've had to face as a nation, which we need to deal with and deal with quickly, is inconsistency in government policies. Now, like I said earlier, where there is clarity of thought regarding what investors will face in an economy, where the playing field is leveled enough and not skewed to any sentimentality, you have a higher potential of investors coming into such a sector and putting in all that is required for that sector to grow. The crisis we've had in the electricity sector stems from the following. One, government, when it was managing the electricity sector, was not putting enough capital required in that sector. The capital required for electricity is not one-off. It must be sustained. It's something that is ongoing. It's not that you do back of the envelope budgeting and expect that it's going to work. No, there's no magic bullet like that. The magic bullet is that there must be consistent, regular injection of capital in the sector.
When you talk of lack of funding from the government, 2.7 trillion naira was spent in the last 16 years. Isn't that sufficient enough?
Well, what I would love always to see when I hear figures and numbers being thrown out is to see what precisely those figures were meant to provide. When I see that, it's easier for me to now do it for the purpose of evaluation. But I give you this simple analogy. The universal principle of generation of electricity, generation side, please underline generation, it's $1 million per megawatt. Now, if peradventure a nation is to develop its own electricity using public fund, and you are deploying, say, 500,000 to generate the same quantum of electricity, you won't get there. Now, the longer it takes you to provide that capital that is required to get 1 megawatt, the more expensive it becomes, because inflation is going to step in. Quite a number of other challenges are stepping in day by day. So part of what we've had to see in the system is when EGBIN was constructed, for instance, in between 1981 and 1985, government was focused on making sure they deliver. And they were able to deliver on time because resources were provided. If that project had been delayed an extra year or more, longer, probably we'll be talking of EGBIN as Ajaokuta Steel Rolling Mill, which we started as well about the same period, but we never came to concluding it.
You sound so optimistic about the readiness of the funds to get to the second phase of this installation. That's talking about the introduction of the combined cycle technology. But where will the funds be coming from?
The funds are coming from different sources. First is equity, the other is debt. Equity from the standpoint of those of us, the investors, who have that belief in the system, who loves this country and knows that there's no other nation better or bigger than Nigeria, and that this country is going to be better than any other nation in the world. We're ready to put our money where our mouth is. That is from the point of view of the investor, the equity. The debt is the side that requires that clarity in terms of government policies. That's from the banks, from other institutional investors, from venture capitalists, and all those who believe that really we've not even started developing this country.
How much will the combined cycle technology be gulping?
We're projecting between 1.5 to $2 billion.
What's your opinion on the hike in electricity tariff?
Electricity is an economic product. From an economic point of view, it invariably means that the parameters required in pricing it, they're clear. It's not alien, it's not hidden, it's not something that can be fabricated. The emotional side of electricity is what is at play. The economic side of it, the economic reality, is what everybody should address. First and foremost, the most rudimentary element for power generation from a gas perspective is the gas price itself. The gas price up until recently was $1.80. The gas price today is $3.30. Invariably, there has been a significant lift in gas pricing. So naturally, once the rudiment moves the way it has moved, what is expected of the system? That's the first plank. The second side to it is the cost of doing business generally has gone up. Cost of products and services are increasing by the day. The foreign exchange component of our business is high. It's not anything little, it's quite significant. You find that all the spares, the critical spares, being utilized to generate electricity are imported. So invariably, if at the point of acquisition of this asset, the exchange rate was 157, and today, even using the official exchange rate is 199, and you and I know that that is not readily available, that if you go to the open market to access the same dollar, you're talking of about 400 approximately. That huge fluctuation will be borne by somebody. It has to be fed into the price.
You can also join in this conversation by sending your comments on our various social media platforms. They are showing on your screen. Coming up on Question Time. Why is the power purchase agreement signed between power firms and the federal government yet to be activated? Let's hear from the chairman of EGBIN Power Station when we return. Join us again.